You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
Folks, as I said, this is not. I told you this was not going to happen just in Georgia. It's happening all across the country as well as happening in Texas. They are specifically trying to target Harris County. The Republicans there have proposed election reform. They want to stop curbside voting. They want to stop drive-through voting. All of the creative ways they were able to use to get folks to vote there in Texas. They want to stop all of that. Now I keep telling people what's going on here to understand what these folks are doing. They are going to try to use their majorities in the House and the Senate, as well as holding the governor's mansion to actually stop from voting. This is the greatest threat to voting since the Jim Crow era, and Republicans are leading this. My panel right now, of course, is Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, a leadership strategist. We have Dr. Julian Mavo, president emerita, Bennett College, and also Omokengo Dominga, professional lecturer, School of International Service, American University. Let me start with you, Avis. This is pure Jim Crow. We can't look. They can dance all around. This is targeting of black voters. And again, Georgia, Texas, Iowa, Pennsylvania, Florida, Mississippi, Alabama. We can go on and on. North Carolina. They want to stop the voting for Democrats. They want to stop black people because they see the train that's coming down the track in 2022, and they're saying we want to guarantee victory.
Yes, I have said for quite a while that the Republican Party seems to respect the black vote more than the Democratic Party does, given the amount of investment, time, and effort they put into stopping our ability to vote. And now they've just taken it up 1,000 by what they are coordinating across the country. This kind of reminds me of the Stand Your Ground laws and how that was so well coordinated and replicated in states all across the country. They've basically taken that same playbook and they're doing that now as it relates to voting rights laws, trying to undercut our ability to vote by specifically targeting our methodologies as well as our geographic concentrations in those various different states. And so absolutely, this is modern day Jim Crow. They're not even trying to hide it. They have gotten big, bad, and bold about it now that they're no longer under a fully strengthened Voting Rights Act. And that's why it's so important that we have legislation passed in Congress that's going to curtail these efforts by strengthening the Voting Rights Act and ultimately putting it back in place.
Julian, Julian, back here in Atlanta, and I told folks this was going to happen. This was coming down the pike, and we're seeing what they're trying to do in Texas. And the governor admits today in Texas at a news conference there was no voter fraud, but he still wants massive voter reform.
You know, Roland, they have gone and looked at our playbook, looked at the playbook of the voter activists, and gone directly at it. When you decide that there will be no Sunday voting, that means you don't want our souls at the polls. When you decide that you will not have the drop boxes, you're saying you got to come inside. Many people are reluctant to come inside. But one of the things that we must understand is that people like Latasha Brown and others, they're smarter than these devils. They're smarter than these devils, and they're going to figure it out. And when they figure it out, it's going to be an issue of what will they come up with next. But I remember I had an aunt in Moss Point, Mississippi in the 60s who first learned Latin, Roland, had to learn Latin because she had to translate a phrase from English to Latin. So she learned Latin. Then they had the jelly bean test, where she had to figure out how many jelly beans were in a jar. But she didn't give up. She kept coming. And that's what these people understand, is that need to understand. Black folks going to keep on coming. Black votes are going to keep on coming. It may be more difficult, but we do have H.R. 1, and it was interesting about H.R. 1. It went down on party lines. One Democrat voted against it, but other than that, it was party line vote. And What does that say? Republicans don't want us to vote? What does it say?
Yeah, of course. That's first of all, Congo, that's exactly what it is. Republicans don't want us to vote. This is pure Jim Crow. And they're trying to say what really, again, is shameful when they say, well, there are people. There are people who simply just didn't trust the last election. Yeah, because they believe in a lying idiot. That's why. So we're supposed to sit here and accept the changing of voter laws because you got some stuck-on stupid people who believed an idiot like Donald Trump who said the election was stolen?
You are absolutely right. And we have to remember that for anybody out there who says my vote doesn't matter, all we have to do is ask the question, if our vote doesn't matter, why are Republicans working so hard to prevent us from doing it? We have to continue to stay active. Right now, I even heard a story today where they cut early voting by 9 days. And so they're doing everything possible, as Dr. Malvo said. I know that we're going to rebound, but we have to stay awake in every way, shape, and possible because they are not going to stop until they not only have a Republican back in office, but Trump back in office. So we cannot let our guard down, and we need to continue to support. If we're not in a state where this is happening, we need to put our social media, our finances, everything we can towards making sure that this does not happen because they will not stop.
What you're looking at, and this is what the Black Chamber, this is what the Georgia Chamber of Commerce actually released. This is with a tweet. The Georgia Chamber continues to engage in a bipartisan manner with leaders of the General Assembly on bills that will impact voting rights in our state. We have expressed concern and opposition to provisions found in both HB 531 and SB 241 that restrict or diminish voter access. As these two omnibus bills move through the legislative process, we will continue to work on ensuring both accessibility and security within our voting system. That's obviously stronger than what they initially said. As you still hear the dancing by the Chamber of Commerce here. And look, they are not going to come out hard in support of going after these companies. But what the activists are saying to Delta, Home Depot, Coca-Cola, as well as UPS, Aflac, and others, they expect them to say something. And you also have the internal dynamics of people inside of these companies also saying, we got to speak up.
Roland, it's really interesting when you look at the combination of corporate responsibility and corporate integrity, because these folks know they're wrong. They know that the legislature is wrong. They know that Home Depot, Delta, you go down the list, they have employees and constituents who are repelled by this legislative action. But they do the Mr. Bodangle's dance around it and say they don't want to take a position. Well, now is the time to take a position. What we know now, after we looked at the insurrection on January 6th, after we have looked at a number of other things, it's time for folks of conscience to stand up, speak up, and man or woman up around these things. So, I'm not sure why these corporations are dancing, except for why they're dancing, because they still want to have Republican approval. And not Republican approval, because I'm not going to disrespect all Republicans, but Donald Trump affiliated approval. And that's what we have to push back on.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans Contributing $50 each for the whole year, you can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.